What's up, guys? Let's talk about back rounding in the deadlift, what causes it, and what we can do to get rid of it. So a lot of people will say it's because your spinal extensors are weak, so your back's rounding. In a conventional deadlift, that may be the case, but there are people who aren't limited by spinal extension who still round their backs during deadlifts. During sumo, for example, the demands for spinal extension are pretty low. They're nowhere near the maximal strength of the spinal extensors. The knee extensor demands are actually near their maximal demands. But you'll see people who round their back during sumo. Why is that? Well, we gotta understand what's happening biomechanically when we round our spine. So I set up for my deadlift, and no matter what, the further I have to bend down, the longer my moment arms are becoming. This is the moment arms for knee extension, hip extension, and spinal extension. They're all getting longer the further I have to bend down. One thing that affects how far I have to bend down is how long my torso is. When we round our back, we essentially make our torso shorter, so we don't have to bend down as far. This means my moment arms are going to be shorter because I don't have to bend down as far. And when a moment arm is shorter, it's easier to lift a given weight. Even if the spinal extensors are another limiting factor, one of these other moment arms is, it's still going to be easier to lift a weight with a rounded spine. So now, for the sake of argument, I'm not going to get into it in this video, but let's assume rounded backs are 100% safe, no injury risk at all. Would that mean we should always lift with a rounded back to lift the most weight? It's making the moment arm shorter, right? Well, it's not as simple as that. If you lift with a really rounded over back and you get in your lockout, it's kind of hard to then extend your spine because you're basically coming to a point you have no momentum. So you're essentially making your lockout harder. And people are going to fall into two camps. For some people it's a net benefit, for some people it's not. I used to be one of the people who was better off with a rounded spine, and now, for reasons I'm going to get into later, I'm better off keeping my back fully extended. So you got to find out what works for you. Are you better off making those moment arms shorter by rounding your spine and compromising your lockout strength a bit, or are you better off keeping these moment arms longer, fighting through them, and having a smooth lockout? Which one's going to let you lift the most weight? So let's say you're one of those people who is better off keeping your spine extended. The problem is your body's still going to want to naturally round the spine to make these moment arms easier. It's a natural thing to do. What can we do to prevent this? Well, the best thing to do is really ingrain a motor pattern that's not going to do that. Your body's going to automatically move in the way it's used to moving. So we have to practice moving in the way we want us to move. Your body gets used to that pattern of engaging muscles in a certain way, your motor pattern, so we want to ingrain that. First off, just during our deadlifts, of course, we want to cue keeping our back extended. Now, if I ask you to lift a really light weight, like for me, 1 plate, I can basically do whatever form I want and I can complete the lift. Eventually, as we get closer and closer to maximal weights, it's going to be harder to maintain that form, and our body's going to naturally do the form that's strongest for us in that given moment. So that's what you have to do. You have to find a threshold where your body's going to start to naturally round. You're going to start below that. You're going to do your work there, get stronger, ingrain that motor pattern, and that threshold's going to rise a bit. And you get closer to that threshold by adding weight, progressively overloading. Again, ingrain that motor pattern at this heavier weight. And repeat, repeat, repeat. Eventually, you're going to be better and better at extending your spine at maximal weights closer and closer to your max. Simple. Sometimes special exercises are really good at ingraining a certain motor pattern, and this is one of those cases. And this is the big reason I think I became one of those people who's stronger keeping their spine extended. That's because I started doing tons of pause deadlifts. You're going to want to do them in a specific way because, again, your back's going to tend to round right as you start to pull. So what you want to do is pause deadlifts right off the floor, as close as you can to the floor, an inch or less. Doesn't have to be super long. I'd say a second. Half a second. You can do longer if you want, but I don't think you need to. Basically, again, you're ingraining that motor pattern, forcing your body to really keep that spine extended, and also because it's going to be naturally hard to maintain a pause when your back is rounded. Your body does not like to do it. Pause deadlifts are great for working this. So to summarize, your back rounds because it shortens moment arms. It may be a net benefit for you, it may not. If you are somebody who's going to be getting net benefit from keeping their back rounded, I say just do it. I'm going to make a whole video on this, but I don't think rounded backs are particularly dangerous as long as your body's adapted to it. If not, you're somebody who's better off keeping your back extended. You're going to lift more weight that way. You're going to want to ingrain that motor pattern by keeping the weight light enough to maintain it and then progressively overloading from there, and probably implementing pause deadlifts. So I hope this was helpful, cleared up a lot of misconceptions I see about back rounding on the internet. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, comment more topics you want me to go over below, subscribe, share the video, help me grow the channel, and again, thanks for watching.